Right, so the next thing really is to show you through what we actually built and the way we kind of did it. So as I said, by having something really wide and long, it was not going to benefit me in the best way in regards to the amount of space it takes up. So we really needed to come up with a different solution and a better solution. And what we thought of was something that was vertically quite high, 3 wide to slide for each of the 3 different banks of 5 kilowatt hours, and a system that meant that we can slide batteries in and out of. So what I'll do is I'll talk you through a couple of these photos that I took. I didn't take a video at the time, I just took a few photos as we were kind of almost completing the build, and then I'll show you how the unit actually looks in the garage. So what we've got here is we've got on the far right hand side we've got the MDF panel with the sliders on each side, which we used as offcuts of other pieces of wood that we cut. You can see me halfway through creating each of the individual shelves in the middle there where the 2 drills are. I think that's called a bench saw. I'm not exactly the best carpenter, you could say, but what we were doing was we were cutting down the wood to make, or taking kind of squares out of the side of it to make the legs. We were obviously using the bench saw as well to cut out other parts that I'll show you in the next photo. So that's a bit of a close-up of the individual shelves as I was screwing them together. We used just under 400 screws all up between the whole build, so quite a few screws, but it's surprising how many you actually need. So that's me kind of completing the shelves there, and then this is how the unit looks standing upright. So with the sides on, with the shelves in place, so that it's obviously there's 20 shelves for batteries to sit in. Each shelf will hold 3 batteries that will be able to slide in and out. The thickness of each cell of each shelf is thick enough for a 2-cell block to go through, plus a bit of headroom to make it nice and easy to go in and out. The whole unit sits under 2 meters, so it sits under, it's about 1800 it's about 1900 all up with the legs on. What we did was we had the MDF, and then Pete, my girlfriend's father, he thought it was a good idea to put some legs on too, so we recreated that, and it actually looks quite nice. So the unit itself is nice and slim. It's only 300 or just over 300 wide, and it's 600 deep. 600 deep's easily enough to fit, I think it's around 50 cells in one 50 cell pack, like the ones I've designed. So it's got some headroom for going forwards. So this is how it looks. What I did was I stuck a piece of this exactly the same MDF on the wall there, which gives me room to put my inverter and my charger and other bits and pieces later down the track. We also did one other thing, which was because it's wood, what we did was we put, I can't exactly remember the name of it, some kind of resin that kind of is a fire proof resin, so it acts, or it dries a bit like kind of glass or crystallizes, but it means that each of these shelves are fireproof. So and the reason for doing that is as I slide, I'll show you a close-up of the battery in there, but what I didn't want to do is have the fuse, if a fuse blows, for it to kind of get really hot against a piece of wood, because there's always a chance of catching fire given it's wood. So we needed some way to protect that, and Pete came up with a good idea of using this stuff that you can just spray on, and it makes it fireproof. So I'll just show you around the other side. This is kind of the back side. The top there we stuck we put a piece of wood just to give it some to make it nice and stable. and coming down there's also one at the bottom. My floor's a bit uneven, so unfortunately I had to put a piece of wood under that side of it, but the unit itself came out pretty level all around, so that was really good. So the next question is, how does it look with the battery pack? So I just threw a whole bunch of random packs in there just to give you a bit of an idea of what it looks like. Each of these packs can easily just slide in and out. I've just put them in any order just to kind of so you can see what it would look like when they're when it's kind of full. Each of the packs can move in and out individually. Obviously, what we did here was each of these pieces of wood had to be cut down so that we took out an L using that bench saw out of each side, and we used a square piece for the this I think was split out of a 45 by 50, I think, off the top of my head. What it means now is that the ends can slide in and out. The middles use these two brackets here to slide in and out of, and then we've got obviously the end part on this side. So the shelf what we'll do is we'll have our cable up here. Oops, there was a video. We'll have our cable out of the negative, and we'll go down to the positive, and then to the negative, and then to the positive as we go down. So they'll have plug terminals at the end of these. So our positive on this side will go up to the negative on this side. So you can easily just pull this pack out. If I just slide that back in again, so that way the positive will go plug into the negative, and then vice versa. So that means it's nice and simple. It's all kept in a nice little line, and each bank will have its own little I suppose at the top we'll have our I need to put a piece at the top here so that the top cable can actually mount to something, because right now the top cable will just sag, so I need to put an extra top piece in, and maybe an extra bottom piece for exactly the same reason. So all in all, that's how that's kind of come together. I'm not too sure if you'd still call it a power wall. Yeah, it's obviously still on the wall, but it's not as slim as I initially thought, but it's still going to look really good. So sitting on the side of the garage there, it's pretty much 15 kilowatts in almost the smallest space you can kind of have it in. And ventilation wise, it's pretty much hollow all the way through. We don't need fans for this because of the low current draw, but it's open at the top and the bottom, and obviously each of the sides. So ventilation perfect. We can get at the packs from the back here, and as you see, these packs here, oops, the microphone just hit, these packs here are only kind of getting halfway. So that's pretty much what we spent last Saturday doing, was building this this thing here. It took up the whole day, took 2 people, and I think it's come out really well. It looks good, functionality wise fantastic, space wise fantastic. This could go in my laundry. It's out here now, so I might as well leave it out here. And tons of wall space for the inverter and the charger and other bits and pieces. So that's the kind of the stacking system of batteries that we came up with.